And we are live on a Wednesday afternoon. All the days kind of blend together for me now, so not sure what day it is. I think it's Wednesday, but we are live answering your questions for the next hour, hour and a half, however long we have some good questions to answer. I will be here answering them. Also, I talk with my hands and put this mic right in front of me, so I also might punch my mic, and if the mic goes out, then we'll also stop answering your questions if I cause that problem. So, other kind of house cleaning type things. All the shirts in my merch store are going to be like on mega sale this week, next week, all sorts of sales leading up to Christmas. So if you want one of my I Talk Movies Too Much shirts or one of these snazzy ones right here, I believe they're most days going to be 35% off, $13 t-shirts. So head on over, check those out. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started answering some of your questions that we have in here. What do we have first? Laptop Productions. Do you like Gladiator? It's my favorite movie. So Gladiator came out when I was like a senior in high school. So I was like the perfect age to eat that movie up. It's violent. It's like a historic epic, and it was like a prestige film that you could be a guy that likes to watch people being murdered with swords and also enjoy. So I was there opening weekend, loved it. Everybody was talking about it when it came out. So absolutely, I have I enjoy the movie Gladiator, and I have seen Gladiator many times. Oh, got it. Text. Oh, political text. I get political texts all day long. I have to like silence my phone constantly to stop all the political text from coming in. And WR, do you like Rocky 5? You know, it's a tough one to say. I just love the franchise so much. So I find Rocky 5 entirely watchable while being the worst movie in the franchise. I can criticize it all day long, but I can also watch it perfectly fine too. To that one right there, James, who is your favorite actor of all time? There's a hint in that last question, but I have a ranking of my favorite actors. I have a top 10 of my favorite actors. It's only about a month old, so just look up Sean Chandler favorite actors and you will find that one. Orion Ray, would you support a Christopher Nolan directed Superman trilogy? No, I would not. Christopher Nolan isn't really into that kind of thing. Like, he did what he wanted to do. Like, he likes grounded stuff and has wacky ideas, but he was the brain, like he was behind in many ways Man of Steel. That's what he wanted to have happen. He didn't want to direct it. He heard the idea from David Goyer. They were working on Dark Knight Rises, and in the middle of it, David Goyer went, "Hey, I've got a pitch for Superman." He heard it and I went, "That's cool. I don't want to direct this, but I'm going to tell Warner Brothers about it, and I'll kind of shepherd this to get it made." So Man of Steel is what he wanted to get made. So I would not want him to direct it. I don't think he would want to do it anyway. Okay. Had some super chats come in. Andre V, thoughts on American Psycho and The Machinist. Love Christian Bale. They are one of my favorites. So I haven't seen The Machinist, so I can't comment on it. My knowledge of The Machinist is that's the movie he was super skinny before he had to get jacked for Batman Begins. As a skinny guy back in the day, I was 6'1" and 137 pounds when I got engaged. His transformation for Batman Begins coming out of The Machinist was inspiring to me, and now I weigh quite a bit more than 137 pounds, largely because lifting a lot of weights. American Psycho is one of 2 movies I've ever walked out of. Not saying the movie's bad, I just went on a date to go see it with a girl I met from church. American Psycho, not the best movie to take a church girl to, so around the time the orgies kicked up, we left. So that's a little bit awkward. So I've rewatched it. I need to watch it again this year. Like, I haven't watched it maybe since I started my channel. Very interesting film. Not necessarily one that's like a favorite for me, but still a very well done film that I fully respect it for what it is and what it was trying to accomplish. But I need to watch it now. I'm kind of like the level to where I'm at right now. I watch movies differently now. Thoughts on Signs. I have a ranking of M. Night movies, all of his movies. My thoughts are in there on that one. Aiden, have you seen Goosebumps? I've seen 0 things and read 0 things Goosebumps. I have not read a single Goosebumps thing. No particular, I guess I was a little bit too old. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark were more the ones that we had when I was growing up. So I just totally missed the Goosebumps era. unfortunately. So sorry that I don't have a more satisfying answer on that one. Super chat from Majestic Demon. Thank you so much. Hello, Mr. Chandler. How are you doing today? I am doing good. I learned today, as of November 16th, Home Alone and Rescuers Down Under turned 30. Yep, they turned 30, which I saw those in the theater. I saw Home Alone and Rescuers Down Under in the theater, and I remember seeing them. That's how old I am. Speaking of my age and things turning new ages, my birthday is next week. So if you want to send me a birthday present, my P.O. box is in the most of my just kidding, but my birthday is November 28th, so it is next week. So I will be turning not 40, but getting really close to 40. I am aging, but thank you so much for the super chat. Already clicked on that one. Miles Morales videos. Would you want a Ben Affleck HBO Max Batman show? 100% yes. I would love that. I would love that. I have been saying for quite a while that I would prefer a Batman TV show over a Batman movie. I believe the character lends himself much better to television because he's a detective, which is long-form storytelling. He's a martial artist. You don't need big CGI explosions. Daredevil has shown that you can do awesome fights on TV, and I thoroughly enjoyed what they did with Ben Affleck's version. So I would love to see that. All right, Tommy with a super chat. Do you think Zack Snyder's Justice League opens new doors in the DCEU or HBO Max? It's tough to say exactly what doors it opens. If it does awesome, Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad I think would obviously be on the table and potentially something that they would try to do. So, but I don't know what exactly it will mean. Clearly, they're looking to do more DC exclusives. They've already announced Peacemaker starring John Cena as a spin-off from Suicide Squad, and the Suicide Squad hasn't even come out yet. They've already announced Gotham as a spin-off of The Batman, and The Batman hasn't even come out yet. So I think anything is on the table if it does awesome. We also had a super chat come in from Vincent Hose, I'm sorry, I don't know which one it is. Have you seen the TV show Harper's Island? I'm afraid I have not. I'm sorry about that. I wish I could give you a better answer, but I haven't even heard of it. So I don't even know what it is. So I wish I could say something a little bit more helpful, but I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. The Honest Shakespearean had a super chat, but did not have a question. So if you got a question, I'll try and be looking for it in here. All right, Thanos. Hey, man, I wasn't a fan of that whole snap thing, but I'm glad that you didn't fully succeed and we were able to stop you. Have you ever seen Avatar Last Airbender? So people have been telling me to watch it. I didn't watch it when it first ran or anything like that. I was like 27 when it started, so I wasn't the target age. So I've been trying to kind of watch it during quarantine. I haven't watched a lot of it. I've been trying to watch it with my son, but there's always so many things I'm trying to watch. So I haven't watched enough to have an interesting take, anything much to say, but I have, it is on my mind. Logan the Great had a super chat. How would you go about making a biopic on Tupac? Tupac. Okay, trying to remember. So I think the angle for Tupac is a little bit of, you're exploring kind of the transformation. He was a very intelligent man. There's a lot of footage of him as a very insightful person. He's also a person that was in a scene where he ended up getting gunned down. I'm not an expert. I could say factually wrong things to clear that up. And I think that's what's interesting about him. I wasn't following Tupac. I wasn't following Biggie back in the late 90s. So I couldn't give you specifics, but I think the angle is that you had this guy that you just a few years before, videos of him as kind of working in his community, saying very insightful things, and then gets gunned down. And I think that's the angle that's interesting of what was that transition? What did he change, or just was he playing a character? What was that? I think that is very interesting to me. And I think that's where you can have some insights to have something to say. Had a super chat come in from Rob Chris Johnson. Hey, thanks so much, man. Hi, Sean. If you could interview anyone for your channel, who would your first choice be? What would your second and third? All right, very cool question. So who would I want to interview for my channel? My favorite actor is Stallone, and he's a captivating person because he's a screenwriter, he's a director, he's obviously big into fitness. I would love to interview him. He's a very intelligent, articulate man, even though he's known for kind of playing kind of caveman type characters and stuff like that. But he's very different from the characters that he plays. So I'd love to interview him. Steven Spielberg, my favorite director, just picking his brain on the way he sees movies and has invented the blockbuster in a lot of ways, invented the modern pacing of films, and has put out prestige films and is still relevant late into his mid-70s. So I would love to interview him. Third one, Nolan. Just one of the most interesting filmmakers right now that just has such an interesting take on everything. So that would be one I would love to tackle, discuss with. Sam, I won't try and tackle your last name. What is your favorite Adam Sandler film? Wedding Singer, no question. A lot of his late 90s, early 00 stuff, I dig most all of that stuff. Wedding Singer is my favorite, though. It's one of my favorite comedies, one of my favorite rom-coms. It's endearing. The music is fun. I love everything about that movie. A big Drew Barrymore fan, so that's the one without question for me. James, happy birthday. Thank you. We're a week early. So if you're just tuning in, my birthday is next week. So if you want to send me packages, my birthday is next week, November 28th. Bohemian Rhapsody or Rocketman? Rocketman by a mile. I thought Bohemian Rhapsody was a little bit of a flat film that didn't have much creativity to it, just it's taking their story and squishing it into the biopic formula. So that wasn't terribly interesting to me, and I thought Rocketman was a lot more creative in how it told its story. Eric Thorpe, thoughts on GoldenEye now that it's 25? Xena Onatopp is one of my favorite Bond girls and villains. Thank you so much for the super chat. I'm going to catch up on these real quick. GoldenEye is one of my favorite Bond films. That's the one that got me into Bond because it came out when I was about 14, so I wasn't really watching them before that. My parents really weren't into Bond. So when that one came out, I was old enough to have my own taste in movies. And so it came out and they started replaying the old ones on TNT, TBS. So that's how I discovered Bond, was those movies. So that to me is an important film in getting me into Bond. I think it holds up. I think it's easily the best of Brosnan's films as Bond. And then of course the Nintendo 64 game out of it was also pretty fantastic that I played a lot of in actually at church group meetings. We'd get together and before we'd open up our Bibles, we would kill each other playing GoldenEye. Andre, ever played The Last of Us, which will be a show? So I've purchased The Last of Us. I get this question all the time. Anytime I do anything video game related, people ask me, have I played The Last of Us? I've purchased it and I've played 2 or 3 hours of it. And then I kind of got distracted. I didn't get hooked, I think, the way other people did. So some of that's because I can't play it while my wife's around. I can't play it while my kids are around because it's a horror game and they don't want the jump scares and everything. So that made it a little bit tough. And there's just a lot of movies I have to watch for my rankings. But I own it. It is on my mind. I'm hearing everybody say, hey, check this one out. I haven't been able to put enough time into it. Desiel Solanki, I'm sorry, we talked about how to pronounce your name in the last stream and I forgot. I'm so sorry about that, man. Have you seen Money Heist La Casa de Papel? I have not. That's another one people mention to me a lot that tell me to check it out. I just feel I'm very behind on whenever it came out that I just haven't, it's not urgent for me to see it. And there's so many things I'm trying to watch to do rankings that are coming out with new things coming out. And just like right now I'm binging through DreamWorks movies so I can do a ranking in a couple weeks when Croods 2 comes out. So it just eats up a lot of my time. And a super chat from Jake, and then I'll head back over to the regular ones. What is your favorite Disney classic? Sleeping Beauty. I'll go with Sleeping Beauty of kind of the more classic, the old ones. That's the one that I've connects with me a little bit more. There's a guy with a sword and Maleficent's a compelling villain. So that's the one of the classic pre-1960s that interests me. Some of the other ones are a little bit tough for me to watch because the storytelling's kind of an older style. Zelda Craze 007 and Back to the Future thoughts. So I've ranked the movies. If you watch my favorite movies of all time, Back to the Future is in there. If you watch my favorite trilogies of all time, Back to the Future is in there. So I've got plenty of thoughts on it, but obviously I love Back to the Future. Isaac Barrett, saddest film death. I believe I have a top 10 of saddest film deaths. So you can see my top 10 by checking that one out, and it'll let you know whatever the ones that you can check that one out. Don Hicks, tips for beginners in filmmakers. Start Start writing, start filming, start making stuff. And watch good movies and watch bad movies. And evaluate constantly. Just keep learning and learning and learning. The more you do it, the more you write, the more you film, the more you watch, the more you learn. Like if all you do is watch the best movies, you're learning from people that are already, they're prodigies and working with $200 million. So watch a ton of stuff and you'll learn a lot of different things by watching a variety of different stuff. And I think that's how you really get good at this stuff. Throw this one in. Tony Movie Chappie D9. What's your religion and what do you believe? I'm a Christian. Evangelical Christian, I guess. Not non-denominational. That's the best way to describe me, I guess. Yeah. Papa John, are you or have you seen Jiu-Jitsu with Nicolas Cage or Fat Man with Mel Gibson? I haven't seen either one of them yet. Both of them are on my radar. I plan on checking them out. I don't know if I'll review them, but when I see them, I'll put them in my monthly rankings if I'm able to catch them in time. So hopefully we can see something like that soon enough. Whew, still very backed up. On so many questions. I need to do more of these. Clearly there's a lot of demand. Alicer Diesla had a super chat, but no question. Hopefully I can catch that. Almgrens had a super chat. Do you prefer Spider-Man or Iron Man? So I have a ranking of all of the characters in the MCU. So that will give my answer in regards to the MCU specifically. In general, outside of the MCU, Spider-Man, I think, is a little bit more compelling. I own Spider-Man comics and read Spider-Man comics. Grew up on the 90s Spider-Man comic show. Obviously, there's awesome Spider-Man video games. So Iron Man in the MCU is he's one of the greatest movie characters of all time. But larger than that, I would go with Spider-Man. Michael Byrne with the super chat. Thank you so much. Hi, Sean. Big fan of yours from Ireland. I appreciate it. Will you be appearing on any videos or top streams with Cody, CP, and Brian in the near future? I don't know. I mean, if they ever invite me on, I've always said yes. And we have our next 31 on 31 is planned for December 31st. It's the big three. It's ranking Nolan, Fincher, and Tarantino together. So I'm very excited about that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we always do a debrief afterwards. So then I'll appear on that one. But, I don't, necessarily want to invite myself onto someone else's podcast. So you can always send my name over to them if there's a subject they're covering that you think I would be fun to work with them on. I'm unlikely to ever tell Cody no unless I just can't, in which case would be I can't this week, but I can next week. So if they invite me, I would do it. Alicia Disla, with the super chat, thank you so much. Have you seen The Revenant? I actually haven't. The way the universe played out, I just missed it. I just haven't seen it. It's one of those films everybody talks about, everybody's seen, that does what I do, except for me. So it's an embarrassment to me, but I haven't seen that one. Tommy Pojavanesi with the super. Thanks so much. Thoughts on Keanu Reeves returning as Constantine? That's another one. I haven't seen it. I've almost watched it because I'm trying to do a ranking of all DC movies, and I was going to do it when Wonder Woman was supposed to come out, and then it got delayed, and I was going to do it when it was delayed again. And then now it's at Christmas, and I just can't this year. So I've been watching through the DC movies. I had my copy of Constantine next to the TV to watch it, and then the movie got delayed to Christmas, and I canceled that. So I haven't seen his version of Constantine. Would I want him to return? It's tough to say having not seen the movie. So I've seen the TV version with Arrowverse. I've seen the animated movies. That's the version I'm used to, and it's tough for me to see the connection to Keanu. He seems too American, too different from what I'm used to in those other versions, but I haven't seen it, so it's tough to say. Harold Keki, what do you think of Robert Pattinson as Batman Bruce Wayne? I've done a ton of videos on the Batman, so you can kind of hear my bigger thoughts on it. In general, I'm open to him as an actor. He's too skinny, though. I think he'll do a great job as an actor. I'm going to watch the movie. I'm excited for it, but he's too skinny. And I've got videos about this. You can just check those out. Talked about it a ton on my podcast, but it's all out there. Favorite horror movie? Scream. I've got a ranking of my favorites. That's at the top. Scream. Some of you guys are asking questions I've already talked about and that I've already kind of got like a zillion videos on. Like someone's asking me like, what do I think about Back to the Future? I've already talked about that a ton. So I just, please try and make sure you're not asking questions that I've done videos on. It just makes it tough to find other questions. How do you feel about Dexter returning? I don't know. Here's my literal thoughts. Oh, cool. It gives me a reason to rewatch them so I can rank the seasons. That's my thoughts as a content creator, because I loved half of the show, enjoyed another quarter of the show, and then a quarter of it was just really bad. It ended on a terrible note, so I'm not optimistic, but it can't end worse than it ended before, so maybe it'll have something in there. Colin had a super chat, and Sam had a super chat with no question. So if you got those questions, I'll try and catch it if I can. Alexander McMillian, videos are great, Sean. Thank you so much, especially in 2020. That means a lot because it's a little bit tough to come up with video ideas this year. What are your opinions on animation and live action crossovers? If you're referring to like the Tom and Jerry deal, I think it's a fun change of pace. It's something a little bit different. And so anything that's different, anything that has a little bit of novelty to it, I appreciate and I think is kind of cool. So I'm down for it. That's actually the thing that made me most interested in Tom and Jerry when I started watching it. I was like, this is true to Tom and Jerry, and the novelty of the live action crossover, I think kind of works here. So I guess that's to say I dig it for the most part. I think it's a cool thing. James had a super chat, but there wasn't a question attached to it, so I can't answer that one, unfortunately. Santi Gamer, what do you think of the Kingsman Saga? I really liked the first one. I did not like the second one very much. I need to rewatch it, and I'm going to rank the 3 when the prequel comes out. Another one I was about to watch it. I had the movies downstairs to rewatch the movies. We were weeks away from the prequel thing coming out, and then it got delayed. So it didn't happen, but I enjoy the idea of them. I don't think the second one was executed very well, unfortunately. Ryan's Treasures had a super chat. Thanks so much. Have you met Jodie Benson or Leonard Maltin? If you have heard of Leonard Maltin, Walt Disney's Treasures DVD series. Okay, there's several questions in there. I have not met Jodie Benson. I have met Leonard Maltin. Let me see if I can pull this picture up. Leonard Maltin. Is it easy to find on the internet? No, it doesn't. Oh, here it is. Yeah, here we go. There we go. Share screen. And this is if to give you some context on some of this. So there you go. This is me. That's my best friend Vincent is the best man at my wedding and helped me so much actually on my movie career stuff. See a ton of movies with him. That's Leonard Maltin. Leonard Maltin is a legendary film critic guy that he's one of my big inspirations for starting. And then he was at this film festival I was at, and so I met him in 2017. I got to meet him, so that was really, really cool. And he's just there, super cool guy. Got to tell him, I read your book so many times. I own 20 copies of your book. It's like, wow, that's awesome. So that was really neat. Margarita, favorite Ice Age film? I haven't seen any of them. I've seen 0 Ice Age movies. So hopefully next year I'll watch all of them and you'll get a ranking. Actually, I saw them at Best Buy. I almost bought the set yesterday in anticipation of ranking them next year. So that hasn't happened yet, but hopefully next year. Eric Thorpe, GoldenEye question, Natalia or Xena Onatopp? I'm going to go with Onatopp. You got to go with Famke Jensen. That was... she plays really unlikable characters in a lot of movies, and so this one she actually plays a killer, and it's her most likable character. So something fun about Xena Onatopp. So I'm gonna go with her. Brody, Spider-Man 4 or Spider-Man Miles Morales? It's a tough question because one of them's a full game and one of them's not. Because of that, it's tough to make a full comparison. If Spider-Man Miles Morales was a full game, I might go for it. There's a lot of cool stuff with it, but it's not. So I think I have to go with Spider-Man, the first one. And we'll see if once Miles gets his full game, that's not 6-hour campaign, 7-hour campaign. You got to fight. He's a cool character, and they did cool stuff with him, with the gameplay, with the story, and everything. So we'll see. TPN Productions. You should rank your favorite to your least favorite Kubrick movies. I mean, I get that all the time. It's tough to know when to do it, because there's not a new release coming out. Alex Keffert with and I probably will rank them eventually. It's just finding. I'll put out a poll after I do this Fincher ranking with some of these top directors to see who people pick for me to do next. Because if I do Scorsese, Kubrick, it takes months to watch all their movies because I have to watch them after my kids go to bed, and there's a lot of them. It just adds up. That's however many movies there are. That's how many nights dedicated to that, not watching something else. So this is tough. Alex Keffert, have you watched or wanted to watch The 100? Unfortunately, I haven't. I haven't seen a single episode. A guy named Rich Reviews, he's a reviewer on YouTube. I talk with him a lot. He's a big fan. He's mentioned it to me a lot. I've just never watched any of them. I've never watched a single episode, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. Awesome Dude 900 with Super Chat. Thank you so much. Are you excited for Soul? Absolutely. Anytime that Disney goes, or Pixar goes for these outside the box kind of crazy premises, it's just very interesting to me. It's one of those things that they take these concepts that are very mature and they package them in a way that kids can kind of understand it, but there's also lots of depth that you get. The older you get, the more you pull out of it. And anytime they do that, I'm very intrigued. Ultra Toxic, what is your favorite season of 24? I'm watching it right now. I have a ranking. I have a ranking of the 24 seasons on my channel. It's from over 3 years ago, so it's a little bit dated, but it's one of the first TV show rankings. Maybe the first TV show ranking I ever did was for 24. I believe season 5 is at number 1 on my list. Maybe season 1. Season 1 and season 5. Season 1, 2, and 5 are my favorite seasons of the show by a good bit. Jake Oakley, Batman, Arkham Knight, or Spider-Man PlayStation 4? Spider-Man PlayStation 4. Arkham Knight is my least favorite of the Arkham games. I don't like the Batmobile stuff at all. So I haven't even finished Arkham Knight because it was just kind of frustrating to me. So Spider-Man PlayStation 4 probably kind of by a good bit. What is your opinion on Stand By Me? I've actually never seen Stand By Me. Digital physical media. I mean, that's your answer. I do Blu-ray collection videos for a reason. There's a reason that I do Blu-ray hauls and have that collection of Blu-rays behind me. That's for a reason. Then Pablo, did you get a PlayStation 5? You didn't watch my Miles Morales review. I can tell that because you don't know the answer to that question. If you watched that review, you would know the answer to the question. Also, follow me on Instagram or Twitter, all these different places. I post all kinds of stuff on things like that, and it contains my answer to that question. Dylan Landis with the super match. Thank you so much. What is a story from Star Wars universe that has not been told yet in live action that you would love to see? What I keep saying is that I want to move away from. I just want to move away from the whole era that we've been stuck in. The Skywalker era from episode 2 through Return of the Jedi, where there's so many stories told in that window. I want to go old. I want to go distant future. I want to go across the universe and tell something different. And I'm very open to a lot of different stuff, but I think old is what I'm most interested in. Just a different era, different set of conflicts that's not the Empire and, Palpatine and his different minions and stuff like that. So the new books that are coming out next year, the High Republic, I'm very interested in that and checking those out. And they start coming out in January, so I'm very interested in that. Cosmic with the super chat. Do you think Miles Morales will ever get a live action film? I think absolutely he will. Just look at what Sony's doing. They're giving Morbius a movie. They're doing this whole Spummock thing, their own Spider-Man shared universe. They want to crank out as many Spider-Man movies as they can. So they've got Miles Morales, and he's getting very popular. I even think the video game, these are all parts of making him very mainstream. They gave us Into the Spider-Verse that people loved, and now they were introduced to the character, saw a great movie, and now they want more. Now they're like, what are we going to do for our launch title for PlayStation 5? Miles Morales. All of that feels to me like they are just setting up a live-action movie, and they want to. What did you thought of a Bloodshot? I have a review. It's on my channel. Check it out. Leo had it. Have you seen Basic Instinct? Yeah, I saw Basic Instinct. I was like, it's like 13 when it came out, so that movie was very heavily talked about. uh, uh, the Everest. Could you do a Once Upon a Time ranking video? I haven't seen it, so I don't have any thoughts on it, unfortunately. Isaiah, will you ever do a Clone Wars review? I doubt it. I mean, I reviewed the last season 7 because I saw it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to watch all the seasons in time to be able to do any sort of anything that would be satisfying to you. Unfortunately, it just takes a long time to do stuff like that. So unfortunately, Majestic Demon had a super chat. I just realized you're posting your DreamWorks video on your birthday. So are you excited to hear your thoughts on all those movies? So yeah, it should be interesting. November 28th. That's my birthday. That's when theoretically it's coming out. He's saying that that's when it's coming out. He said that, not me. He's on Patreon, so he's seen my proposed schedule for the rest of the month. But that I am not in any way beholden to that one. Nolan Talks Movies. Thoughts on The Prince of Egypt? I've never seen it, so I have no thoughts on it. Isaac Plays Games. Have you seen Tusk? No. Actually, very much not interested in seeing Tusk. Does not... freaks me out just looking at the posters for it. MVSA. Jason Bourne versus Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible. I watched them rewatch. I think the Mission Impossible movies are more rewatchable. The Bourne movies are like every 5 years I watch all of them. Mission Impossible, I'm a little bit more likely. Hey, let's put on a Mission Impossible movie, and yeah. Miss K, is Back to the Future Part 1 a perfect movie for you? I did a video on 5 perfect movies. I don't remember if it was in there or not. It's entirely possible. Gamer Girl, how is the Arrowverse still going? People tune in. Apparently there's stuff in there that people enjoy and enough of it. I don't actually understand the CW's model and how some of these shows keep going, because some of them it just seems like they keep going and going and going forever. And it doesn't seem like they get good ratings. Like, you can check out their ratings and they're not very good, but they keep on going and going and going. So I don't really know. That's a good question. Dezel with a super chat. Which horror films would you recommend for me who is new to the genre? I've watched just two of Saw, Scream, and Conjuring. Will you be continuing this on Patreon? I mean, I'm not continuing this live stream on Patreon. This live stream is just right here and now. Every Saturday, let's pause right there since he brought it up. Do a little Patreon plug. So every Saturday on Patreon, I do a live stream that's an hour and 15 minutes. I answer everybody's questions because there's like 10, 15 people in there. And I just set it up on Patreon so you could pay annually. So if you're in high school or something and would like to join Patreon for like $21 a month, or excuse me, $21 a year. $21 a year. You can join Patreon and join those live streams and get the exclusive videos. That's the lowest tier, but you can do annual for it's about $21. So you can just say to your parents, hey, I'd love to get the Patreon annual, the basic one, $21 per year. And you can join all the live streams and ask questions. And I answer everybody's questions every week. That's Saturdays in the afternoon. I do a live stream for Patreon. So anyway, back to his question. Which horror movies would you recommend for me who is new to the genre? So he's already seen Saw, Scream, and Conjuring. Those are 3 of the ones I think through the eras of horror films. And what are the iconic ones? 70s, Exorcist, Demon Possession. The Omen, more of a kind of same idea, but, Antichrist. Then you get to the slashers of the 80s. I would go with Halloween. The original Halloween is actually 1978, not quite the 80s, but that's the stuff that you got from that era. And then, A Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, 1984. Then you get to the 90s with the self-referential. Then I would say Scream. You already watched it. Get to the zeros, torture porn. You got Saw. That's the one you start with. You've already seen it. Then you get the found footage stuff. I haven't seen Paranormal Activity, so I can't personally recommend it, but that seems to be the go-to one. Then you get to the modern era of possession movies, Conjuring. That's the one I would recommend. You've already seen it. And then kind of the social conscious aware stuff. Get Out from Jordan Peele. So those are my recommendations. Old School with the super chat. Thank you so much. What is the most unsettling film you've ever seen? It's a weird one. It's Meet the Feebles from Peter Jackson, and it's like a dark spoof of the Muppets. And so it's basically the Muppets, except like what if they were like really sleazy people? So there's like a rabbit with an STD, and there's a fly that eats poop, and it's a different name from that. Just really like gross, like nasty kind of movie that just kind of bothered you. When I was younger, watching Predator for the first time just kind of really wound me up a little bit. But those are some that come to mind when I see the question. Or actually, there was your question right there. Oh man. Saddest 2020 celebrity death. I think you got to go with Chadwick Boseman. That he's only like 5 years older than me, 4 or 5 years older than me, and he's was made such an important film to so many people. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and made a lot of I don't know, just when you go from seeing someone seeming so strong to dying, just out of the blue. It felt like out of the blue. We didn't know he was sick. That's just really sad when that happens. Just really sad. So that's the one that would come to mind for me. All right, guys. Some of you guys are asking questions like, "Hey, can you rank?" If you just read my description, I'm not gonna tackle those. I'm just bringing this one up to say, like, I don't want to answer questions about potential future videos. I've actually kind of already talked about this. Test takes a lot of work. It's on my mind, but it's not immediately comes to mind. Likewise, do you like La La Land? I have a review of La La Land. Be sure to look up, ask if it's come out from the last 4 years or it's a big franchise. I've probably done a ranking of it, or I've done a review of it. Likewise, I've talked about Signs in my M. Night Shyamalan ranking. So a lot of these, I've kind of talked about these. I did a creature feature with Alien 2 weeks ago. I talked about my thoughts on Alien, and I have an Alien ranking. So a lot of these kind of questions, I have a video on it. So when I do these kind of Q&As, I'm hoping to answer different questions, tackling things I haven't talked about before. That's as opposed to just rehashing things I've discussed. And so you guys are asking questions I've already kind of tackled in here, like asking about Last of Us. I actually talked about Last of Us earlier in here. Joey Barley, do you accept collabs? I mean, if you follow my community tab, my stories on Instagram, I'm collabing with people all the time, and I'm sharing the links to it all the time. And so, just you can see that I do all the time. You just follow me on my community tab and stuff like that. What's your favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, not including Terminator 2? And it's Predator. Would be the next one in line on my favorites list, but he's got so many. I mean, the first Terminator's fantastic. Some of these ones are just. True Lies is one that comes to mind immediately. Charlie 44, what are your thoughts on Mando season 2? I've been posting reviews each week, so I'm not sure if you haven't, the videos haven't been popping up in your feed, but I've been doing literally reviews every single one of these, and they have all my thoughts in all of them. All right, back over, see what we have over here. Christopher Walker with Super Chat. Thank you so much. Music question. Do you like the bands DMB or OAR or Death Cab for Cutie? So I guess that's Dave Matthews Band, I'm guessing. If you ask you a question, like if you use like initials, like it's really tough for me to kind of interpret them in the middle of all of this. So I would recommend don't use initials. Like write it out, because otherwise I don't like OAR. I probably know the band, but I just don't know off the top of my head. And that might not be Dave Matthews Band. But if I'm having to guess, it's tough for me. And then Death Cab for Cutie. So I enjoy some Dave Matthews Band songs. I've never been a big Dave Matthews Band fan in general, but he has some great songs. Same with Death Cab for Cutie. I probably enjoyed them a little bit more before they had mainstream success. I was just into more smaller stuff when they were smaller, and then they when I got older and was less interested, they got a little bit more mainstream. But I don't have any deeper thoughts on that, unfortunately. Tommy with the Super Chat, thanks so much. Have you watched Supernatural? So in 2012, when my firstborn came along, we actually binged a lot of Supernatural when he was like 2-3 months old. And then we got halfway through season 3 or something like that. My wife just went, I'm done. I can't watch this anymore. It's not she disliked it. She's not just big on horror, not big on scary, and just even the main plot line that kicks off the show involving the mom for a new mother was not the right plot line. So she said we were done. So that's what I've watched. I've watched a good bit of it. We enjoyed what we saw, and then that was it. Hey, Sean, would you want another Cars movie? Nope. I've said it many times. I don't want Pixar to just keep cranking out franchise movies, and Cars is the worst franchise. So, no, I don't want that. Some of you guys are spamming questions, so like, I'm not answering your question because you're asking it too many times, and you're asking it like all I'm seeing is your question. If all I see is your question, then I don't answer it. The Film Buff, what's your favorite Community episode? Modern Warfare from season 1. The first paintball episode is the best, and then the second and third best episodes are the second and third paintball episodes. So I have it on my mind to do a top 10 Community episodes, but my seasons ranking didn't do great, and so I'm just trying to. It's just tough right now. I don't have a lot of just easy, solid hits because there aren't new movies coming out, and it just makes it complicated to decide what videos to do when because there's not as many surefire easy bets. I don't know. It's stuff that when your surefire hits are only moderate successes, it doesn't give you as much room to experiment with other stuff. So there's some stuff like that kind of going on that makes it tricky. What's your favorite Western? A Fistful of Dollars, the first Clint Eastwood spaghetti Western with Sergio Leone. Yeah. Jay Williams, do you like Westworld? Oh, that's a tough question. I really liked the first season. I thought it was clever, and it was a neat kind of version of exploring ideas, but in this Western setting, clever twist. But I feel like they used up all their good ideas in the first season. Like the hook of the show was what they were doing in the first season. And so then the second season, it just felt like, woo! Like very suddenly my throat got very dry. So where was I? Season 2, where they ended season 1 just left them nowhere to go. They didn't lay a foundation for a follow-up season. So then they tried to reinvent themselves with the third season where they go out into the real world. So they're barely in Westworld on the show Westworld, and it just lost my interest. Favorite Jim Carrey movie? Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumber. He had a lot of classic 90s movies. A lot of great ones in there, but Dumb and Dumber would be the standout for me. Have you seen the TV show Homeland? I've seen the first 4 or 5 seasons, and I kind of lost interest a little bit. I love seasons 1 and 2 with the original concept of the show, and then the third season did not like where they went with that one, how they closed out the main plot line of the first 2 seasons. And they reinvented it in season 4 and 5, and I thought it was a big improvement, but I just didn't have a ton of interest. Cole's SM Studio, Uncharted vs. Tomb Raider, Uncharted. I haven't played a lot of Tomb Raider. I played the reboot, whatever, from 2013. I thought that was pretty cool, and I dug it, but that's all I've played, and that was back in like 2015, 2014. I don't know. I got it was the game of the month for free on my Xbox at some point in time. So I got it, and I played a good bit of it, and I enjoyed it. But the Uncharted games I thought were even better. Real quick plug while I make for my t-shirts. For the next couple of weeks, actually probably for the rest of the year, that my merch store is probably going to have a bazillion sales because it's the end of the year and we want to sell Christmas shirts. So I don't actually control when they do the sales. But so they've got all my I Talk Movies Too Much shirts will be on sale. So if you want for Christmas, if you want to get one from your kid for Christmas, something like that, $13 t-shirts. You can check that out at my merch store. And they'll almost always be on sale for the next little bit of time. Ito, can I take a turn? Yes. Tony Stark, Blade Runner 1982 or Blade Runner 2049? 2049. I've repeated. That's always. But I've never been a big fan of the original one. Never really liked it. But but there's ideas that are interesting. I just didn't like the allegorical, metaphor, poetic execution. That's not my thing at all. And so I thought, I'm gonna block some people out of here. I thought 2049 just made it a little bit more concrete, and so I dug 2049 a good bit more. Do you like Better Call Saul? I haven't really seen much of it. I plan to. I plan to binge through the whole show, do ranking, everything like that. That's my plan. It just hasn't happened yet, but absolutely, I plan to. Casey and Bridger, do you watch Star Wars Theory? If they have a video that tackles a subject I'm interested in, yes, I do. I don't watch all their videos. I'm not like a big fan. The guy also has like Cobra Kai Theory as well. He owns that brand, and so I've watched some Cobra Kai Theory stuff over there. So whenever he has a subject that's interested me, and lately I've had been more interest in some of this stuff because, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Yo, Sean, how do you feel about the Marvel's Avengers game? I have a review of it. I have 2 reviews of it, so my thoughts are already out there, and I even touched on my thoughts on it in my Miles Morales review a couple days ago. Have you played the Call of Duty games? I've played I've played Call of Duty 2, Modern Warfare 3. Actually, the 2 I played the most of are Modern Warfare, the original one. I played that one a ton, and its original one on online game. That's the one I was great at. And then Modern Warfare 3, I played survival mode with my wife a lot. That's the one I've played with her the most, and she actually got her to play. And then I have Black Ops. So none of the more recent ones, but yeah. Exotic Pizza, who do you think, if they make an Uncharted movie, who would you cast as Nathan Drake? I guess no one's told you they've already filmed a Nathan Uncharted movie. Stump's Tom Holland. He's a terrible choice. He's too young. He's way too young. And Mark Wahlberg is Sully, so they've already done it. So yeah. Do you think Jaws 2 is a suitable sequel? No, it's a rehash. I mean, I talked about the movie in my 31 on 31. I've got a ranking. I've talked about it pretty extensively. I just think it's a rehash that doesn't do anything interesting. It removes the interesting characters, so you're left with a really boring character. Kid Critic, you're about to get put in timeout. You're spamming a question too much. Please do not do that. I cannot find questions when you do that. Same with AwesomeCom. You're spamming questions. It's your one and only ranking. That's a different word entirely. You can tell I'm trying to read while talk at the same time. One and only warning. Totally different from ranking. Javier R., what's your favorite Marvel video game? Spider-Man PlayStation 4, I think. I'm spitballing off the top of my head, but that's just a great, great little game. Not little game. Big game. Fantastic achievement. Big fan. Oops. All right. Ali Al-Ziyadi with the super chat. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I mispronounced your name. Have you read any of the Legend Star Wars books, comics that take place after Return of the Jedi? There are some solid stories and there are cool things with the OG characters. So I've gone through the original kind of Thrawn trilogy. I'm blanking on the name of it. The Timothy Zahn books, the ones from like 1990, and that was kind of widely perceived of as the follow-up trilogy until we actually started getting stuff. I don't know. I've never been a big fan of a lot of the Legend stuff. For every good story, there's just something that's kind of weird and ridiculous. So I've never been a huge fan of some of it just because it got, when like Chewie's getting killed by a planet and stuff like that. It's just weird and the quality was inconsistent. So I never got super into the Legends. I fully understand why they got rid of it. And I think people that were reading it for a long, long time were a little bit more invested, I think. And that's where they kind of took it personally. And I understand why if you've been reading these books for 25 years, it's a slap in the face if they're removed from canon. Officially removed from canon because they were never really part of canon. But for me, I was never invested, and there were just too many things that I was like, I don't want some of this to be canon. It's too weird in the way they're doing it. So that was kind of my take. What is a film that you suggest if you liked Knives Out? Clue. Check out Clue based off the board game. That's what I would recommend. It's got a great cast with Tim Curry kind of as the lead on it. So check that one out. What are your thoughts on the newer Battlefront 2 game? I play it a lot with my son, so we play it kind of frequently, both just me versus him, me with him, or kind of do an online play. We do that stuff, play it all the time. So I never understood the hate, but I'm not a big enough gamer to even understand some of the conversations and the loot stuff. I just don't follow that side of things. So all I saw was, hey, I get to play all these awesome characters and do battles. That's all I saw as a not very serious gamer. So I never got the hate, but a lot of other people have issues with it. People ask me like to rank the Clone Wars, rank stuff like that. I just don't have the. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think I'll get it watched in time. It takes a long time to watch it. Watching 7 seasons of a show to rank it is a very big ask. Night and Chen Vlogs, are you excited for Sonic Movie 2? Yeah, I'll go with a yeah. I think I am. I think I am excited for it. Guy at the movies. Is it true that you're going to be playing Wolverine in the MCU? You know, we have been in talks, Kevin Feige and I. We talk quite a bit, and he wants me to play Wolverine. I've been working on getting the look right, but here's the deal. Wolverine in the comics is 5'3". I'm 6'1". I'm just too tall, so I don't think it's going to pan out. But the serious negotiations were going on there for a while, but I'm not sure it'll work out after all. If you guys don't know, Guy at the Movies has his own YouTube channel talking about movies. I was on his channel just yesterday. So be sure to send some love to some of the newer creators on YouTube in the movie space. I'm not quite sure. 6 months, a year. I'm not quite sure. I've met him over this year, and my brain's kind of jello this year. But check out his channel. He's done a bunch of cool stuff, and I was on his podcast yesterday. So if you've been missing my podcast, I was on his doing the exact same stuff, talking about the same sorts of things. So check that one out. Yeah, Ramen, top 3 favorite slasher villains. Jason Voorhees. Jason Voorhees would be my number 1. Freddy Krueger. Ghostface is too many, so you can't. Ghostface is a tricky one. Maybe it's just because newness bias, but let's go with Vince Vaughn from Freaky from this last week. That was a fun direction to take things. So, yeah, let's go with that one. I won't stick with that one long term, but I'll say that one. Oh, whoa. I'll get to that question in just a sec. Oh, he's spamming the question. He won't get his hairs. Don't spam questions. Headcanon. Wait, Wolverine is 5'3". I imagine being mauled to death by a guy as short as Kevin Hart. Yeah. The snot bubble just popped out of my nose as I snorted it. Gross. The stuff you get when you're in the live streams. Yeah, in the comics, Wolverine is a short person. Hugh Jackman is 6'2", so Hugh Jackman is about a foot too tall to be playing the character. There was a lot of people that complained about that, but yeah. So anyway, I was going to answer this question, but you're spamming the question. Do not spam questions like that. You're just kind of. I just can't enable that behavior. What was Arrow's show's biggest mistake? I think it was turning everyone into a superhero, making everyone a member of the team. You want to have contrast in the show to where you have normal life and superhero world, and there's secrecy. These people know, these people don't know. And so when you get to a point in time where Thea can become a superhero after 3 months of training, and, Laurel becomes a superhero because she took Krav Maga for a couple months. It just loses so much of kind of the dynamic of the show, the specialness of being a superhero. Like Syndrome says, when everyone's a superhero, or when everyone's special, no one's special. And that's kind of what really happened with the show. Ali Alziadi with a super chat. Thanks so much. How is your day going? Pretty good. Having a nice lively Q&A here. This is going really well. I really need to do a lot more of these. Every time I do them, they're popular, but when I do them by myself, then all sorts of goofy stuff happens. My nose starts itching, snot bubbles shoot out of my face, and it can be a little bit stressful because I can't block people out of the to chat when they're being obnoxious, and they ask questions that just kind of throw me off, and so it's stressful. So I like it when my wife can join, but with COVID, kids to watch and everything, she's not really able to help me with these. So mostly it's pretty good, but I need to do more of these. J. Paul, what Star Wars books do you recommend? It's tough to say. I'm not a big fan of the Star Wars books. I have listened to a few of them. I'm planning on checking out the new ones that are coming out real soon. But the problem is that the way they're written, a lot of times it just feels like they're telling inconsequential stories because they're not able to tell. If something big, gigantic happens, then they have to incorporate that into the movies, and that just leads to problems for what they might want to do in the future. So it just feels like a lot of hearing things that I just don't think move the needle enough. So there's one called Bloodlines. It's more political. It's not real action based, but it's about Princess Leia in the New Republic, and it kind of fills in some details about kind of how the New Order came about. But it has some really interesting stuff about people didn't know that Darth Vader was her father, and I thought that was a really interesting concept where they took that. So that's one that maybe I recommend. There could be some other ones. I think it was Catalyst, the prequel to Rogue One, had some neat stuff in it. But there's not a ton I recommend. Favorite animated film? I have a video on my favorite animated films. You can see my top 10 on there, but it's The Lion King. Jack, who's your inspiration for YouTuber? Probably the biggest path was John Campea. Like 8-9 years ago, I discovered his precursor to Movie Talk, which was called For Your Consideration. And it was monthly at the time. And it was actually kind of posted on Collider the blog, not Collider the website. And then he did a daily version shortly of that. And then it led to Movie Talk being picked up by AMC where he worked. And that became kind of pretty legendary in the... Oh, whoa. Why did I disappear there? Hopefully my internet's not clunking out on me. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with my internet. It seems like, I don't know if I'm cutting out. I don't know what you're seeing. So, sorry about that. It's throwing me off. So John Campea is the one that, and then, of course I watched Jeremy Jahns, Chris Stuckman, all the kind of the classics from like 8 years ago where people that kind of made me go, oh, I could get started doing this. John Flickinger, those sorts of people. Greg, just finished The Boys. What do you think season 3 will be about? I think you're going to start to see a little bit more of I think certain things have been outed a little bit more, so I think it's going to get more just all-out war chaos, where the structure of the heroes being perceived as heroes starts to disappear a little bit, and they're having to almost fight to be respected. Favorite movie serial killer? I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. I mean, slasher killers would fall into that. So Jason Voorhees, but if you're going for more grounded, for like serial killer films, more grounded based, Hannibal Lecter. I just watched through all those movies. Probably have a ranking next month. Callum Penham with SuperChats. I think about, hey Sean, great job with the videos this year. Thoughts on the Silver Linings Playbook? I really enjoyed it. I really dug it. I thought it was a nice little drama that had some humor that felt organic. I thought it had a nice emotional payoff. So I really enjoyed it. Also, there's going to be a Ryan Reynolds Clue remake. Thoughts? I'm game. I mean, it's been 35 years. Ryan Reynolds is a funny guy, and so him doing a whodunit, why not? After 35 years, why not? Sure, give him a chance. Let's see what happens. I'm totally on board. Vinny Covoletti, were you a fan of Vince Vaughn before Freaky? Absolutely. I think actually Vince Vaughn, he hasn't been in big stuff, so it doesn't feel like he's had that great of a run the last 4 or 5 years. But for me, he's been in a great set of films. He was in Brawl in Cell Block 99 from a few years back. I loved that movie. He was in Dragged Across Concrete. I loved that movie. He was in Fighting with My Family last year. I loved that movie. And then Freaky. I thoroughly enjoyed Freaky. All 2 of those are similar because they're from the same director, but otherwise very different roles for him. He was in Hacksaw Ridge, very different movie, another great movie. So I think he's done some great stuff. Have you seen The Boys? I've done reviews. I've done reviews of both seasons. Where is this one? Where is it? Henry ESJ, have you seen Parasite? If so, should I see it? Yeah, I've seen Parasite. I don't think I did a review. I actually saw it at a film festival, Fantastic Fest, a month before it came out, and I saw like 20 movies in a week. So I didn't review everything that I saw there, and therefore it might seem like I didn't talk about it, but I did. I did it. I talked about it in my ranking of the movies I saw at Fantastic Fest, and then I ranked it in my October 2019 new releases video, and I talked about it a couple other places too. But it's a very good movie. I think it's very well done, so it is worth checking out. And it's different. It's not what you expect. It's not about a parasite in the literal sense, and it's very funny, but it's also very edge of your seat. So it's I definitely recommend checking it out. Jack Price, where did The Office go wrong? Two things. The Office went wrong. First one, I think that they turned too many characters into wacky characters. Part of the appeal of the first 3-ish seasons was that it was basically mostly grounded people that felt like someone you would know in real life, and just a few wacky characters. So there was contrast. You would see the difference between the two of them. But when the time you get to season 4, 5, 6, everyone starts being ridiculous. Even in season 6, Jack Jim is kind of a dummy, and everything went way weird over the top. And I think it lost its way in that. And then they just went too long. There's only so many seasons where you can have reasonable kind of the observational humor of the first few seasons before you start having to like recycle plot lines, get weirder and wackier, and then just do bad ideas. Trying to break up Jim and Pam was a bad idea, period. And so that's what you do when you just stretch things out too long. Rafael Campos, what do you think of Diary of a Wimpy Kid? I think that I am 27 years old to appreciate Diary of a Wimpy Kid right now, and I was 17 years too old when it first came out. I am definitely not the target audience, and I get so many requests to rank them, and I've done a deal what should I rank next, and they picked that one. You know, it's confusing to me. I don't know why people want me to watch it. I'm not the target audience at all. Isaac Michael, when are you going to do a 40 DreamWorks movies ranking? Very soon. I mean, I've been talking like this is kind of funny to me because I've been talking about watching the DreamWorks movies and preparing for this ranking all year. I mean, I've done DreamWorks rankings and I've mentioned it in there. I've been talking about it on Instagram, in my Blu-ray haul rankings. Been talking about it all year long, but I have to have a new release, and there's one coming out in 10 days. So in 10 days, it's happening. But I've been we even talked about it in this live stream already, multiple times. But it's working on it. Some of you guys are doing some of these. Hey, can you watch? I'm not going to do can you watch and can you rank? Can you do stuff in here? That's too many things to tackle. Javier R., what do you think of Netflix's Daredevil? I've got 1,000 videos talking about Daredevil and Marvel Netflix. Daredevil is my favorite TV show of the last decade. I've got videos whining about it getting canceled. I've got all of that stuff out there. I loved Daredevil. All right, you waited well. So I'll answer. Favorite Harrison Ford movie? I mean, obviously he's got the Star Wars movies, so we'll go outside of that. He's got Indiana Jones. Of course, I love Indiana Jones. Of course, Indiana Jones is in my top. If you check out my top 10 favorite movies, top 20 favorite movies, you have Star Wars and Indiana Jones in there. So right off the bat, setting those franchises aside, The Fugitive. The Fugitive is phenomenal. Love The Fugitive. Real quick, do a little while I take a drink and try and see what questions we have. Once again, there's sales all for the rest of the year on my t-shirts. You got one if you want one of these ones with my logo on it. I've got ones that say I talk movies too much. I've got a new design that I've only sold 3 of them thus far because I just put the shirt out. So you can be one of the first 10 people to own the new design. So they're all on sale pretty much for the rest of the year. $13 for t-shirts. You can get masks for under $10. All kinds of fun stuff like that. If you want a Christmas gift, that's a great Christmas gift. If you want to give a Christmas gift, a t-shirt is a great Christmas gift. Ryan, who did you vote for in the election? Yeah, we're not going there. I intentionally avoid politics. This is a place to avoid all of that. There's so much division in the world. There's so many things that tear us apart. Politics being a big one right now. Therefore, this channel is about what do we enjoy that brings us together. Movies, not talking about politics. So yeah, we will not be getting into politics on here. Very, very intentionally. I stay out of all of that. That is not, yeah. Please, no politics. That is where we're going. No politics. Very intentionally. I don't want to join any one of these sides of people arguing with each other about this stuff. So that's not where we're going. Do you like The Shining? I have a ranking of the Shining movies. So it has my full thoughts in there. Check that one out. Mr. Marvel, do you like Cobra Kai? I have a review of Cobra Kai on my channel. You can check that one out. Do you like Chris Stuckman? I've met Chris Stuckman. I met him actually at the same place where I met Leonard Maltin that we talked about earlier in here. I met him a little over a year ago. Let me see if I can pull this picture up. There we go. Share screen. Yeah, there we go. So I met Chris Stuckman a little over a year ago. Really nice guy. We were at a film festival. The room was almost empty. He was sitting there. So I sat next to him like, hey, can I sit next to you? Got to talk with him for about 20 minutes before the movie started. Real friendly guy. He bought my drink for me. So it's dinner and a movie. So he bought my drink. It was real friendly. And, you know, he's one of the people that kind of inspired me to start. He cut the path that made it easier for me to do what I do and get on Rotten Tomatoes. So I thanked him for all of that. So it's pretty cool to get to meet him. And, you know, I've been watching his stuff for 7-8 years. I don't know how long, but it's over 5 years since well before I had my channel. I was watching his stuff. So I think only positive things to say about him that, you know, especially having met him, only positive things to say. So I'm trying to sort through my questions. Sometimes they're tough to find. Charlie44, how can you get on Rotten Tomatoes? I mean, you can just go to their main page and like at the bottom of the page, it says where to apply. Like you can just say apply for Rotten Tomatoes. You know, like you have to have a following. You can't like start a YouTube channel, have 10 followers and apply to join. You have to have like 2 years of reviews up, a following or in a niche that's underserved. And so you have to be legit. So a lot of people try and just hop on there and think, oh, this is a way to get more subs or whatever. You have to do the hard work. And so if you've been around there for a while, you've got a following, and a following is not 100 people. It's not even 1,000 people. Like their website says you have to have a following of 30,000. And they've let people in with fewer than that, but that's because they serve an undervoiced group of people. But it's not terribly difficult. Are you going to rank Supergirl seasons? I have a ranking of the Supergirl seasons. It doesn't have this last season because I didn't watch it because I don't like the show. So probably won't do another ranking, but I have. So it's out there. Oh, here we go. There's a couple of super chats. I know I don't know which one came first, but I'll grab the other one. Matthew Mertens, do you think it would have been better if Dent turned into Two-Face at the very end of Dark Knight and was saved for Dark Knight Rises? Yes. I absolutely believe that. I thought they were going to do that. I thought that was a better direction. I don't think it was entirely clear that he died at the end of The Dark Knight and he could have come back, and they didn't go in that direction. But I wanted them to go in that direction. I think that was a better direction. I think that character was underutilized. I don't think the character's resolution... I think that his resolution in that movie is the weakest thing in that film, is that they used Two-Face to do one scene that just sets up the monologue at the end. And the monologue's great, but it meant that they just rushed through and wasted a great character and a great performance. So absolutely, I would have preferred that they saved him, and you know, he was kind of like this criminal underworld kind of guy. I would have loved to have seen that. I think I got a question that I missed. Sorry if I'm itching my nose. Before I do these streams, I normally do my pre-workout stuff. and it has beta alanine that makes your fingers tingle and nose tingle and stuff. The longer I talk, the more my nose itches. So it goes wild. Sometimes it starts dripping snot. So you guys might get a nice show if you keep watching. Brad Johnson, almost 2 years full time on YouTube. Have you felt burnt out yet, or is this the dream come true? What's the best and worst of YouTube? Okay, a lot of questions in there. So February, I will be 2 years full time, and it's not the 2 years that would kind of has drained me. It's the year 2020. 2020 has been a pretty big drain because I've haven't had new movies. My channel is based around talking about big franchises and new releases related to them, and we haven't had that. So it's been a drain to try and come up with stuff for that reason. And it's a weird thing because it's tough to voice your issues when you've had obvious success in something where other people want to have a lot of other people want to have 168,000 subscribers. And for me, if I only get 4,000 views on a video, that's a flop. For other people, 4,000 is their biggest video. And so it creates a difficult situation where it's tough to kind of even voice some of your frustrations without just sounding really whiny. And things like that can be a little bit draining at times. But it's at the end of the day, it's the dream. I watch and talk about movies for a living. And I try and do my best to find variety in there and find other things to do. So like I launched a course on YouTube. And that was a huge project that I was working on in July and August, and I'm launching it. If you're a YouTuber and willing to make an investment of time and money into a course, I put out a course on doing YouTube stuff that, I mean, it's over 40 lessons. It's over 10 hours of content of everything about YouTube. And that was giving myself a new challenge to continually try and work to do things that are new and different. So it's tough to, there's things that can easily burn you out, but I don't feel burned out. It's kind of the drag of 2020. Like my channel's really, my subscriber growth has kind of come to a halt over it started being slow actually about a year ago because there weren't a lot of new releases other than the Star Wars movie and Frozen 2. And then 2020 hit. And so then I'm kind of in a year of kind of stagnation with my growth. And that takes a toll when you had a window where you were growing really fast. But in other senses, my channel's fine. So anyway, I'm talking out loud. I don't know if that answers your question, but, for the most part, it's just the dream. What's the best and worst part of being a YouTuber? The people getting to talk with you guys. I did it on Patreon. I do, if you're at the top tier, I do 30-minute chats with the people. So I did a 30-minute chat with a guy right before we did this, talked with him for about 40 minutes about movies. And it's just fun getting to talk with movies with people. What's the worst part? The people. There's mean people everywhere. There's people that are looking for trouble. Even as I'm doing this, I'm having to block some people that they're trying to stir the pot while I'm trying to answer questions. And so that's frustrating. So people, they can be tricky. They're frustrating. They can be awesome. They're all of it. What do you think of Jacob Tremblay? Let me make sure I'm thinking of the right person. He's the kid actor, right? Tremblay. Yeah, he's like, I honestly, I don't, let me switch screens. Jacob Tremblay. He's that guy. There we go. I don't think about Jacob Tremblay much at all. He's the honest answer. He was in Doctor Sleep. I really love that movie. It was a pretty unpleasant scene that he's in. And, I didn't watch the movie about kids behaving badly. I think that's really in poor taste. I intentionally sit out on movies like that because it's pretty gross I don't get it. It's very weird to me when adults make movies like whatever his movie was that he did last year about kids behaving badly. Adults writing that for children and then having them act that out just seems very, very weird to me. I don't get the appeal. It's not something that I rush to see. So, I just don't think about him much, honestly. What's your favorite movie of all time? I have a favorite movies list. You can check that out. It's top 20 movies. It's from January. It's accurate. Have you seen The Expendables? I have a ranking of The Expendables movies, so it's all in there. All my thoughts on it. Okay, this is like the follow-up. Would you like to meet Jodie Benson? Let me make sure who we're thinking about Jodie Benson. So it's a Little Mermaid. She's one of my favorites, along with Leonard Maltin, Jess Maltin. I don't have any thoughts at all about Jodie Benson. Like, I guess what she's the voice of Ariel, really from The Little Mermaid. I think I could be wrong about that, but it's my understanding. So I just don't have thoughts on her. Like, voice actress of a movie I've been watching my whole life. It doesn't. That's not one that's like on my mind really. So I don't have much to say about that. Have you seen Chuck? I've seen most of it. I haven't seen the last season. Everything I've seen, I've enjoyed, but just with the way life works out, sometimes you watch so much of it, and then you feel like you got to rewatch from the beginning, and I haven't wanted to rewatch it from the beginning, or I've started a little bit, but I just don't have time, and so it's just one of those kind of shows that I've enjoyed what I've seen, and I'd only say positive things about it, but at the same time, it's I haven't finished it yet. Same with Battlestar Galactica, great show, haven't finished it. What do you think of Warhorse? I actually haven't seen Warhorse. Disney Senior, is your YouTube course just about movie channels or any kind of content channel? It's not like there's not a whole lot that's specific to movie channels, but it is specific to kind of opinion channels. So if you do a channel that's like mine, that could be about sports. It could be about TV shows. It's this kind of like giving opinion channels is the sort of thing that it's really kind of for. It's all about how to come up with ideas, how to brand your channel. So it has stuff that's applicable to everyone. My examples are coming from my story. So it's people that see my type of thing and want to do the sort of thing that I do. You could apply that to different things. But like if you want to do skits, if you're doing how-to videos, educational, it probably isn't for you. But if you do anything that's like opinion-based, sharing your opinions and stuff, it probably has a lot to help you out. Brad Johnson, first time I've asked a question and got Sean to ramble for a while. Totally worth another super chat. Oh, glad that I could ramble for you. You get me on certain subjects and I can talk for a long time. And sometimes there's certain questions I answer in different ways and I don't know how much to ramble about. Other ones you can set me off and I just start going wild on them. And I never know when it's going to happen. Ace, how do you feel about Scream 5 2022? So Scream is my favorite scary movie of all time, and the Scream franchise is my favorite slasher franchise of all time. So inherently, I'm interested. It's from the guys behind Ready or Not, and I dug Ready or Not. I had a couple issues. I wasn't blown away by it, but I totally dug it, and I thought they were a good fit. I'm not a purist that's worried that Wes Craven isn't returning. I think bringing some new blood in, some new perspective, I think that's a good thing. I think you need that at a certain point in time, especially a franchise like that what it brings to the table is commenting on something and having this kind of perspective on it. So I think that's good. Kevin Williamson, the writer of the original, has made some comments over the last couple weeks about the movie it does have me a little worried, though. He said some stuff that makes it feel like he said, it doesn't have commentary. It doesn't have the meta stuff. Like, wait a minute, that's what Scream is. How do you do Scream if it doesn't have the Scream stuff? I don't get it. So I'm not sure what to make of that. So we'll see. AJ Taylor, I missed a super chat from him. He said, favorite crime movie of all time? Untouchables, the Brian De Palma late 80s one with Kevin Costner about Prohibition era, bringing down Al Capone with Robert De Niro's Al Capone. That one, I thoroughly enjoyed that one. It just has a unique vibe to it. It feels kind of different from most movies like that. And so that's the one that comes to mind for me that always catches my attention. Pascal 2, did you watch Boys from Brazil 1978? I'm afraid I don't even know what that is. I'm sorry. So I don't have any thoughts on that one. I have no insight. I'm sorry. I wish I did. Ben Luby, what do you think of Johnny Depp leaving Fantastic 3 and who should they recast him? I don't have any thoughts on it because there's a lot of people that have big opinions and justice for Johnny, fire Amber Heard. All I know is headlines that are in the news. That's all I know. I don't know them personally. I've not on set. I don't have the information that the studios have. And even the headlines, I don't read gossip about celebrities' personal lives. So I don't have a strong opinion in that regard because it's their personal lives and it's not for me to decide who and who is not guilty. I don't know. And I don't know that the newspaper headlines let us know any of that stuff either. So I don't have a thought on that. So who should they recast him? Colin Farrell, bring him back. He was in the first one as the character, so find some way to just put the mask back on or whatever and bring back the guy that was already in the part. Brad, hey Sean, I'm a massive fan. Been watching for 4 years. Wondering, what are you using? Using OBS? Thanks, Brad. No, this is called StreamYard. This is what almost everyone is using now. Most of the people I do collaborations with, podcast stuff, we almost all use StreamYard. And there's a free version. This is the paid version. It's like $20 a month, something like that. You can bring in guests. It's super easy to bring people in. None of the hard work that OBS requires. And, you could just click away to do stuff like this, all these different angles. And if you bring other people in, it's super easy. That's what almost everybody uses now. Would you ever do more Disney era rankings? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's entirely possible I'll do more. I'm pretty sure I'll do more. I don't have a date, but absolutely it's possible. DX Demon, great question. Who am I and how did I get here? That's a good question. I wish I knew. Brainstorm, I'm starting a YouTube channel like yours. How would you recommend starting out? I've got tip videos. I've got a whole tip channel. So you can just search Sean Chandler movie channel tips and you'll get one on how to start a movie channel. I've got 2 or 3 versions of how to start a movie channel. And then I have a whole nother one, how to grow a movie channel. I've already got the favorite videos out there. So, or not favorite videos on how to do all of that. So, you can check that out. What do you think of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies? I've got a ranking. It's out there. You can find it. Eric Thorpe with a super chat. Thank you so much. Would you like Famke Janssen to return as Xena Onatopp if the Bond franchise were to go in a direction where bringing her back would make sense, even if her in her 50s, she's quite easy on the eyes of mouse opinion? They'd have to come up with a really good reason to do that. That's the tricky part. It's really tough to come up with since they haven't gone time travel zombies, how do you bring her back in a way that makes sense? You could do the twin sister thing or something like that, but all of it kind of goes in the campier, cornier direction that I don't think is where the franchise thrives, at least not for me. And especially when we're like 15 years into Daniel Craig, more grounded take on the character, I don't know how you do it. If they come up with an excuse, if they find out a way to do it, hey, I guess I'm curious. I guess I'm game to see what they come up with. And maybe I'd be interested. James Tate, she dies in GoldenEye, so how? I mean, that was in the question. He said that in the question, that, if they've come up with a reason to bring her back. So he incorporated that in. So I think that he did address that in the question. David V, what are your thoughts on Christian movies? I don't really like any movie that has an overt agenda that the message is preached rather than said through story. So I don't tend to like Christian movies, even though I'm a Christian, but they're designed in a way that you always have at some point in time, someone monologues to another character the message of the movie. And I don't like that. And I don't like that in any movies. And I say it pretty openly in my reviews where movies kind of pause for a second to have a character preach to another character, whatever it's about. I just don't like that. And I talked about it in my Enola Holmes review. There's some couple sequences where characters in it start talking like they're from the year 2020, talking to other characters. I don't like that. So for the same reason, I don't like very many Christian movies, because they do that. That's kind of built into the equation. Gus Ball, which do you find more rewatchable as a franchise? Star Wars versus Star Trek? You make great videos. Thank you so much. It's tough to say because Star Trek thrives on television and Star Wars thrives at the movies. And obviously there's differences and they're going on long enough that it's like, well, wait a minute, The Mandalorian, what about Clone Wars? But, they each have different origins and they're two different they're two different genres. One is space fantasy and one is sci-fi. They're not the same genre. And so I don't see a lot of comparisons to the two. So I don't honestly, I don't have an answer. I rewatch both of them a lot. Heath Ledger, hey Sean, big fan. Do you prefer Martin Scorsese or Quentin Tarantino? I'm more of a Tarantino person. I watch more Tarantino, or rewatch Tarantino a little bit more. Scorsese makes great films. No hate or anything like that. I'm just not as associated with him. Pascal 2's favorite cult film. Tough to say because we all define the term differently. So certainly you could throw the Evil Dead movies in there. They weren't like big gigantic box office hits. They were more cult films. And so those ones would come to mind in the way they're much more of a cult following than traditional mainstream success. So that one comes to mind. So yeah, I think the Evil Dead movies probably would be the accurate answer. I think. It's tough to, off the top of my head, picking a favorite when you're an hour and a half into a live stream can be tricky. Okay, ooh, looks like I missed a few things in here. Super chats in here. Jack Stedman had a super chat, but no question. And then DX Demon, he found out how he got here. Just came across Chuck Norris and survived. Very happy for you. Ironically, or coincidentally, I've been watching Chuck Norris movies as I go to bed recently. A bunch of them are on Amazon Prime. And so I put them on and fall asleep. Missing in Action, Delta Force. He doesn't have a lot of very good movies, but I've been watching them nonetheless. Do you prefer disc or digital for movies? I mean, my whole set is built around the fact that I own a bazillion videos, Blu-rays, and then I do Blu-ray hauls every month and collect Blu-rays from my fans on my second channel every month. So I think that tells you the answer. Have you seen his Dark Material? Nope, not one episode. Do you like Rick and Morty? Haven't seen any episodes. Are you shocked Macy's Thanksgiving Parade is still happening this year? Yeah, it's pretty surprising that they would do that, especially in light of recent spikes. Oh, I don't. This isn't. Maybe this was the same one. Jack Stedman, what's your favorite Scorsese movie? Mine's Goodfellas. Probably Taxi Driver. I mean, I like his aren't ones that like I watch them and I go, this is great, but they're not the ones that kind of connect with me on this level. If I want to watch this again, have big strong opinions or anything like they don't resonate with me in that particular manner. So I don't have like a passionate, clear favorite. So I'd say Taxi Driver because it's kind of interesting with this dark descent into madness, anti-hero in another sense. So, you know. Drake Manos, what's your favorite Sean Connery film? Rest in peace, Sean, and also love your channel. Thank you. Probably Last Crusade. Indiana Jones Last Crusade. I love that one. I also mentioned it in here. The Untouchables, he's in that. Love that one. Mentioned that one just like 5 minutes ago. And then, of course, The Rock is a great little film. Everest Canyon, would you ever make your own movie if given the chance? What would you do it about? I mean, sure, if I was given the opportunity, I'd be all for it. But that's the tricky part, given the opportunity. That's people don't just give you the opportunity to make a movie. Like, there's a lot that goes into that. So, there's a lot of things I could make a movie about. So the idea that someone would give me the opportunity, well, whatever they want me to make a movie about, I'm open to suggestions. So I don't have a clear, like, this is what my movie would be. I have a lot of ideas in my head of things that I could do well, that I could be interesting. Have you seen The Queen's Gambit? Yeah, we're halfway through it. We're on like episode 4. I'm watching it, so hopefully finish it soon. Stranger Boy 101, thoughts on the new Tom and Jerry trailer? I did a reaction. I did. That's like yesterday's video. So, like, what's questions? Be sure to make sure I haven't done a video. But like, if I do a video yesterday and you ask me in a Q&A today about, hey, what are your thoughts on this? I get confused. Like, I don't understand. Because I literally have a video about the Tom and Jerry trailer. Yeah. Do you think Giancarlo Esposito could play Professor X in the MCU? Yeah. I did a X-Men fan cast, and I think he was one of my people I mentioned. Would you want to see a darker and grittier take on the Ninja Turtles? I don't think I'd want to go darker than the 1990 movie, but I'd be totally fine with another movie with the tone of the 1990 movie. I don't need it to be like the original comic where they are like slashing Shredder and there's blood coming out and then he blows himself up with a bomb. I don't need that. I don't need Casey Jones literally killing people. But I think the tone of that 1990 film with modern aesthetics, not 7-foot tall, 300-pound turtles, not that. But I think the 1990 one is about as good of a Ninja Turtle movies as you can make. I think that one is very good and has aged very well. I watched it in the theater a couple weeks ago, and then I rewatched 2 and 3 since then. And I bought a Casey Jones mask, and I got it in the mail today. So Ninja Turtles is very much on my mind as of recently. Joel Peterson, do you think Black Widow will be going to theaters or VOD first? It kind of depends on some way some of the stuff plays out, but clearly Disney, they want to play the long game and make $1 billion on the movie, so they're hoping it's going to be theater. So it's got 6 months for things to clear out, but that's what they're thinking. And questions like on my podcast, we talked about that like every single week. That's what my podcast was, answering that question a million times. Nathan Albers. Hey, Nathan Albers. If you guys don't know, this guy Nathan Albers right here that I'm answering his question. If you've seen my MCU movie rankings with my ant puns, I didn't write most of those. I had a joke writer, and his name was Nathan Albers. It is this young lad right here. Hey, Nathan. He's actually in a couple of my early videos on my channel from like the first 2 months, 3 months. He was in some of those videos. What do you think are key qualities to stories that are truly cinematic, deserving of being on the big screen as opposed to a novel or TV? So it's tough to say exactly, because sometimes it's not like it's not always the story. Sometimes it's just the nature, the look of them that kind of gives this scope and the size to it. But what makes for a good story for the movies is one that fits in 2 hours. That the advantage of a book, the advantage of a TV show is that a novel, it's hundreds of pages, and you can hear their thoughts. And you can go all these back details about the world or the government or the science. And there's all these details that don't necessarily translate well to film. So you have to simplify the story. Or like Ready Player One, the book is all about the education system. And then when you get to the movie, it's just turned into a race. It's like simplified. So the advantage of a book and TV shows is you have time to explain a lot of things, have a lot of characters, and have a lot of moving parts. The advantage of a movie is that your eyes, that it's what you see. Picture's worth 1,000 words. And so there's things that you can do with movies involving music, involving the images, that just spark the emotions and stir. They have a different set of skills. It has to be something that you can tell in 2 hours and elaborate on. But obviously action movies are more fun than action books because you're seeing things happen. They're right there in front of you with music making it swell, and that's why that genre thrives on the big screen, and comic book movies thrive on the big screen. And so it's a little bit tough to exactly answer the question, because that's talking about spectacle. But then, Martin Scorsese's not making those roller coaster ride. He wouldn't even say that those are cinema. He's telling these dramas, and where he has these stories that are 3 hours long or whatever, telling crime stuff. So it's tough because cinema can be so many different things and tell so many different stories. But I think it's something that you want size to it. Television, you want to tell a story in either 22 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever, but also be able to tell another one next week and want to come back next week or binge the next episode. With a movie, you want to feel complete in 2 hours. So anyway, that's a lot of thoughts on it. I don't know how well I answered your question, but those are some thoughts. And thank you for the super chat. And Nathan, when are you going to be in town again so we can hang out and go to the movies while we're 6 feet apart from each other? If you don't know, he's actually a very good friend of mine that I've known a very long time, and I've known his dad even longer. Do you believe in masks? Yes, masks are real. I do believe that masks are real. If you are asking, do I believe that people should wear masks? Sure. I don't want to get into weird politics. Should people wear masks? Sure. Even if you don't believe in them, would do something. Don't be belligerent. What's your advice to start being better at reviewing movies and seeing movies when a movie is good or bad? Watch lots of movies that are good and bad. If all you do is watch Christopher Nolan movies, that's not a good measure. Like, you have to watch 10 out of 10 movies and 0 out of 10 movies and 5 out of 10 movies and 3 out of 10 movies and 7 out of 10. You have to watch all of those to be able to see the difference. Every year when I do my worst of the year list or whatever, there's always people that are like, the worst movie I saw this year was, and then they list off a very professionally well-made movie that they just didn't care for. They're incompetently made films. Incompetently made films. There are movies that are nonsense, and you have to watch nonsense movies to be able to see the difference between a movie you just don't prefer and a movie that's actually garbage. And there's a difference between those two things. So I say watch a lot of stuff. Watch a lot of different things, and good and the bad. Read a lot of different reviews. Don't just watch me. Don't just watch Chris Stuckman. Check out people that have wildly different opinions to see where they're coming from. Like go on Rotten Tomatoes and find critics that their little blurb that they write, you think is nonsense. You think they're an idiot. Rotten Tomatoes thought that they were worth putting on their website, or they're associated with something that's legit, and whoever hired them thought they had something to say. So go and read the reviews of people you wildly disagree with. And when you do that, you'll start to get a picture of films in a language to be able to talk about them better. Rank some Lady Gaga albums. I've actually, I don't know that I've ever listened to a full Lady Gaga album. Since the year 2000, in the last 10 years, I haven't really bought very many albums in entirety. It just got old enough that wasn't my thing. And in the zeros, I was listening to a lot of loud, obnoxious things with a lot of screaming and double bass pedals and synths and things like that. So that wasn't necessarily the direction that I went. So I don't know that I've listened to a full Lady Gaga album besides the Star is Born soundtrack. So I've heard all of her big singles and everything like that. Greatest hits album. Does she have a greatest hits album? That one's my favorite because that one would have all the songs I like, but I don't know any of the deeper cuts, unfortunately. Rank your top 5 horror movies. I put out a video with my top 10 horror movies. All throughout the month of October, I was sharing on my community tab all of these things, and one of them was my top 10 favorite horror movies. So I've got that list. It's out there, and all my thoughts are kind of out there. Probably have to stop soon. My voice is getting interesting. It is not. 2 hours of shouting at a mic eventually starts to take a toll. Zach Ostlin, Ryan George called. He wants his hairstyle back. Kind of a weird statement. I'm older than Ryan George, and my channel is older than Ryan George's, so I'm not copying his hairstyle. He's copying mine. It's also, of the last decade, about as generic of a hairstyle to have if you look like me and Ryan George. So, not copying Ryan George. He's not copying me. This is just a generic hairstyle for people that look like us. Can I copy your hairstyle? Yes, because it's mine. I'm the only one with it. And if you copy it, be sure to give me credit. What do you think makes Toy Story 4 so good? I mean, I like everything I've said in my videos, everything that I've said in my review for it, everything I said in my ranking. There's no secret answer. Um, like my rankings, I share my thoughts. Like those are my opinions. I don't have like a secret extra thought. Some of them I have longer opinions, but I'm summarizing what it is in the video itself. And so I have a review of the movie, and then I have a ranking, multiple rankings where I kind of expand on all of that. Uh, Alrighty. So we had a super chat come in. I couldn't find it. Man of Movies. Thank you so much. Thoughts on Scream 5 finishing production? So we've touched on it a little bit in here. My thoughts on it, I'm excited about because I love the Scream franchise and the people they hired to do it. I'm excited about. Thoughts specifically on them finishing production. I think they've been talking about this movie for like 10 years since Scream 4 came out. So that it's happening, it's done, it's tangible. Like it's a thing that has been filmed, so you know it's going to happen. Well, it's 2020, so apparently even having a movie finished doesn't mean it's actually coming out. So maybe it's not quite that simple, but it's nice that there's something out there that kind of tangibilizes it. Tsunami, when is more community rankings and top 10s coming out? I don't know if any are coming out. The video didn't do very well. I had 2 years worth of people saying, hey, community, rank the seasons, rank the seasons, rank the seasons. And then I spent 5 months watching the show, writing notes for everything. And then the video just didn't do very well. It just didn't get a ton of views. I mean, YouTube tells you how a video compares to your last 10 that you put out. It was number 10. It was my weakest performing out of 10 videos, and I spent 5 months working on it. And when that happens, that's very demoralizing. And it's also people saying, we're not interested in this. And so I would like to do more. I know there's a passionate audience that wants to see more. The problem is in the year 2020, there's not a lot of wiggle room to do videos that are for niche audiences because there's not a lot of stuff that's like my channel thrives on big new movies coming out, and there aren't big new movies coming out. So I'm having to work hard to maintain my subscriber base and put out content that people are interested in. And it's not working very well in general doing that. There's just not as many clicks as there usually is. So as there would be otherwise by a lot. And the numbers every month kind of go down a little bit further as we go longer and longer without big releases. So taking a chance on a video I know will do poorly, it's tough to justify doing that right now. Awesome, cool guy. Are you going to buy New Mutants on Blu-ray? Yeah, I will. I actually liked it. I kind of dug it. So I even thought about buying it yesterday when I was at Best Buy. The Dark Knight. Have you seen Firefly? Of course. Have you seen any videos on it? Only 14 episodes. Highly recommended. Of course. I saw Serenity in the theater opening night. I owned Firefly back in 2003 whenever it first came out on DVD. So absolutely. I'm a big fan of all the Joss Whedon TV shows. Huge fan. What do you think of the newly announced reboot of Home Alone? It was inevitable. I'm sure it won't have the magic. It won't have the spark. It'll be a better produced version of Home Alone 3, 4, and 5. It'll be a lifeless. Zachary, what has been your favorite 31 on 31 to watch and rank? And what is a 31 on 31 you want to do? My favorite one was the action movies because it's got to watch a bunch of action movies. So I like all of those films. That was fun. Next one where we're doing Christopher Nolan, Tarantino, and David Fincher movies ranked together. That one's fun just because it's a little bit different. It's getting me to watch some more grown-up films rather than just people in spandex doing cosplay in space. What is one I want to do? So that's their series. It's the Autop Streams series. It's not mine. I don't propose them or choose what we do. Um, the one that I'm, if we did one with like the Terminator movies or something like that, that would be kind of cool. And then the big one that kind of kicked it off for them was the slasher franchises with Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street. I think is the one that kicked off the series where it kind of came from. I'd be interested in doing that. It would be tough for me because I don't know the movies nearly as well as they do, so I would have to rewatch all 31 of those in a short window of time. So I don't know if it would ever happen, but yeah, it's on my mind. Ethan Vega, have you watched any of the movies in the George Romero's Night of the Living Dead franchise? If you have, what do you think of the franchise? Yeah, I mean, I did a video a month ago on my top 10 favorite horror franchises or top 5 horror franchises, and it's on there. It's on the list, so you can hear my extended thoughts in my top 10 favorite horror franchises video. The first 3 I think are really or first 4 I think are really quite good, especially Dawn of the Dead. I was a big fan of Dawn of the Dead, and it's just a great concept for a zombie film that kind of basically invented the genre as we know it. But my longer thoughts are in that video. It's only a month old, so you can check it out there. I've got to put some guys in timeout. They're spamming questions. So, probably go just a few more minutes on here. If I can find some questions. Maybe we'll close out even before that. Have you watched Schitt's Creek on Netflix? No, I haven't seen any episodes of it. I've seen 0 of it, unfortunately. Power Rangers or Ninja Turtles? Ninja Turtles. I grew up on Ninja Turtles. Power Rangers came out right as I was at the very tail end of the target audience. Like, I was the oldest target audience age when it first debuted. So, like, me and my buddies watched it, but none of us would admit in public that we watched it. And then by season 2, by the time the movie came out that still had some of the original cast, we had lost all interest. So Ninja Turtles is the one that, like, I have nostalgia for, watched, still love. I mean, I watched the original 90s trilogy over the last 2 weeks. Literally today, I bought a Casey Jones mask. Like, it came in the mail. And I for my Halloween costume for next year, I've already even bought these sweatpants, my Casey Jones sweatpants that I'm wearing right now. So I don't own any Power Rangers cosplay. Will you watch 2003 Clone Wars? Will I? I never have. I'm totally willing to, but I don't have any reason to either. So the phrasing of the question makes it a little bit interesting, but I haven't watched it. Where do you get your posters? I have a link in the description of most of my videos. Not this one because I had to write this one from scratch, but all my other normal videos, I have a link in the description to my posters and where you can buy them. I try and put all that information out there as much as I can using my community tab, posts, my description. I try and put as much information as I can out in the universe so it's easy to find stuff. Have you seen Prisoners? No, I have not, unfortunately. It's one of those ones that I hear great things about. I'm planning on doing a Denis Villeneuve ranking whenever Dune comes out, but I don't know when that's going to be. Okay. Man of Movies. I missed a super chat from him. I'm sorry about that. Release date is January 2022. A dumping ground film. No, I don't believe so at all. I don't think that January isn't the dumping ground that it used to be. January used to be a dumping ground month, but I think we've seen so many exceptions to that I don't assume that. If I see a bad trailer, that'll change my mind. But, Bad Boys for Life, that's still one of the best movies of the year. It's a January movie. I thought January, what are they thinking? But also look at, like, the whole, all bets are off on what the movie landscape. Like, we have 8 months of blockbusters that didn't come out, that just got shuffled to the next year. in a year that already had a set of movies in it. So they just shuffled to the next year. So for the next 2 years, the studios are like, there's an over, the supply of movies that need a premium release date exceeds the number of weeks. And it will be like that for 2 years. So as soon as theaters open back up, like, it's going to be teeing off. Hopefully, fingers crossed, on a channel like mine. But because of that, the January, suddenly you got to put your movie somewhere. Where else are you going to put it? There you go. Out of all your Funko Pops, which one is your favorite? No debate, no question. I've got a Sean Chandler Talks About Funko Pop, so of course it's number one. One of my patrons made it for me. Gifted it to me. I opened it in one of my fan mails, and you can see my reaction. But a guy named Jackson sent it, and it was very cool that someone would create that for me. It's awesome. Ashton Springer, do you like Uncut Gems? Yeah, I dug it. I wasn't in love with it the way that some people were, but I just very well acted. A little bit too grim for me, but I definitely respected it for what it was, and it was a nice experience. I watched it with my buddy Tyler, was in town, so that was fun. Coen Brothers or Tarantino? Tarantino. I'm not a big Coen Brothers person. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou was very cool, but Charlie 44, what's your favorite video you've made? I don't know. I don't, it's tough to say because, I appreciate all of them. The one I normally mention is my canceled Spider-Man movies, because I created something I wanted to exist that concisely talked about a bunch of canceled movies. And I love that stuff. So those are ones that are kind of interesting to me. Some of the how to fixes are fun for me. It's the stuff I don't do enough. The stuff that I need to do more of, that's the stuff that I normally like more. But they just take more time, and sometimes it's a matter of, like, you spend a lot of time on a video and you don't know how it's going to do. And so then some of those ones, I try and link them up to a specific release or specific thing. And, that's like, I have ideas for, like, canceled Batman movies, canceled Superman movies, but we haven't had a Batman movie or Superman movie. And so it's some of the stuff that kind of goes on behind what I do and why I do it. Okay. I'm going to look for a couple of final questions on here that are to close out with something strong. If you definitely want me to answer your question, if you want to throw in a quick final super chat to close out our 2-hour deal, I'll close it out at 2 hours. I still have to shoot tomorrow's video, so I might have shot my voice and burned through all my energy before I even shot tomorrow's video, so that could be interesting. But if you have a final question, you definitely want me to answer it, send a super chat. I'm going to take just a couple more from the general chat as well. Also, I do a Q&A almost every single week on Patreon. Almost every single week. They're on Saturdays, and we go for an hour and 15 minutes. I answer everybody's questions. If you join Patreon at any level, you can be a part of those. And I will join at any level. So I have a new option called annual membership. For $20 a year, you can get all the exclusive videos, all the live streams. So if you're looking for a Christmas present, want to talk to mommy and daddy about something, like $21 a month, I think year. $21 a year. So as a Christmas present, $21 a year, and you get all the extra videos, join all the Q&As, ask all the questions you want for those almost every Saturday. There's like 3 a month, almost every single month. So with that said, let me see if I can find final questions in here. Have you caught up on Gotham? No, I don't know. Like, if I want to catch up on Gotham, I'd have to start over. So that's what makes it very unlikely. But to track all of it, I would have to start over. And I don't know that that'll happen. Have you seen Clouds? No, I've heard a lot of people talking about it. It sounds like a cancer dramedy or whatever. I'm not, cancer dramas don't interest me very much. Thoughts on The Simpsons? I grew up watching The Simpsons when it, back in the 90s, and I watched it all the time, saw every episode. I haven't really watched it in 20 years. Since I've been a grown-up, I just haven't watched it much. So, Arjun, are you sad we don't have any Marvel movies this year? We had New Mutants. What are you talking about? We had a Marvel movie, a great one. Not so great. If not for what it means for my channel, I think there's something nice about having a break. I think there's something nice about having a little pause. I think there's value to it. And so I kind of appreciate that. It's frustrating. Like, I wish we weren't having a break from everything. It makes my channel really tough. Marvel is my most popular content. I love the franchise. I love the Sony ones too and everything. So, I miss them. It does hurt my channel when I don't have them. But on an artistic standpoint, I think, and just as an audience, having room to breathe. I mean, we were getting 3 MCU movies per year, plus a Sony movie, plus a Fox movie. For as long as I've had my channel, it was that pace. And so having a little pause, I think, gives you a little bit of a room to breathe. Have you seen Akira, from the anime from the 80s? I have. I had a really weird experience with it. When I first watched it, I started watching it, the part with the teddy bears filled with milk. And then it went from there to a gigantic city-sized amoeba. So I was like, what is this? Buddy, you're an idiot. This is the worst movie I've ever seen. So I had a pretty weird launch to Akira. So unfortunately, I don't have a... I did rewatch it from the beginning, but I just had such a weird slanted take from the get-go that it kind of spoiled my experience. I need to watch it again without the bias of all of that to see if I can... if it's better for me. Connor, John Wayne or Clint Eastwood? Clint Eastwood all day, every day. I was never a John Wayne guy. I was always a Clint Eastwood guy. And my parents didn't really watch either one. They were a little bit more Clint Eastwoody. At least they talked about him a little bit, where they didn't. John Wayne was a legend for other people. He wasn't really a legend in our household. So I would Clint Eastwood by a lot. How do you feel about Disney returning to the Planet of the Apes trilogy? I'm fine for more Planet of the Apes stories, but the guy they got, what did he do, like Maze Runner or something like that? He's just not someone that I think is good enough yet. He hasn't done the trilogy from Matt Reeves, and then as well as Rise that he didn't do. This guy's not as good of a director from what I've seen. So that's my concern. It's not Disney doing more or anything like that. It's specifically the guy has me worried. Had a super chat come in. I created a movie review channel almost a year ago. Love doing it, but I find it hard to find a following. I'm not expecting huge success, but any advice? So I've got some videos that have my expanded advice. One is how to start a movie channel, and one is how to grow. The two go together. So if you want to grow, you should watch the start, and then that'll give the foundation, and the grow will kind of expanded. It's like, for me, what it involved was, when I started, I met as many people in the space as I could. And so just to build a foundation of friends to collaborate with. So I found 50 other channels, subscribed to them, watched one of their videos every week, and commented. So I just made a lot of friends. I'm still friends with those people today. And so that's a big part of it. Just meet people, get on Film Twitter, meet everyone, be everybody's buddy, and just network a lot. And then experiment a lot. If what you're creating isn't connecting, if people aren't watching it, then learn the lesson there. If whatever people do like, give them more of that. Whatever they subscribe for, do more of that. And not to overly plug my stuff, I literally just put out a course on YouTube stuff about a month ago. It does cost money, but it's very intensive. It's over 40 lessons. It is my full story. It is everything I learned. And I've taken like $3,000 worth of courses on YouTube. And so I condensed that for channels that are movie channel type things, condensed it into that. It's everything I know. It's everything I've learned. And, like I said, over 40 lessons. It goes into analytics, specifics. How do I come up with ideas? How do I structure my videos and why? My strategy with playlists, my strategy with all kinds of everything about why I do everything with my channel. It's all in there. But, at the end of the day, I try and meet people, network with them. So other creators are just a foundation of people watching and commenting on your stuff when you're early in this early stages, collaborating with them as well to share an audience. And then you just experiment and study your analytics. Look at your analytics, see what's working. Favorite Indiana Jones movie? Raiders, but Last Crusade is also phenomenal. When is your next How to Fix video coming out, and what will it be? I don't know, and I don't know. I think I did a little poll, or I did some stuff on my my community tab asking about ideas. And so I think I'm going to do a Terminator one next month, what I would do with the franchise. So it's not exactly How to Fix, but it's the same sort of thing. How often do you do these Q&As on YouTube? So I used to do a weekly podcast, and at the end, we'd do an hour of Q&A on every single one of the podcasts at the end of it. But I'm kind of on pause on that, trying to figure out what I want to do with it long term and in the future. So I might try and do these a little bit more often because they seem to be very popular. And I wish they were. If I did one of these weekly, it was an hour long, that'd probably be a little bit healthier for my voice. Thoughts on Mummy Trilogy? I ranked them back in like June, so I've got an up to date ranking from June talking about the Mummy Trilogy. Can you please review the Mortal Kombat movie when it comes out? I mean, that seems almost guaranteed. I mean, it just got delayed. I don't think they even put a new release date on it, but I mean, that's like a guarantee I would review that. I mean, I reviewed the animated movie that came out in like May or April. I reviewed the animated Mortal Kombat movie. So I'll, of course, review the movie, and then I'll rank the Mortal Kombat movies because there's 3 live action ones whenever this one comes out. And then I'm sure I'll probably do the top 15 highest grossing video game movies ranked, updated with whatever's in there now. How to fix Justice League. I have already done that. I have a video called How to Fix Justice League. I have done that. That was I think the second one I ever did, but it was before I had a following. But so a lot of people haven't seen it, but I've done that. Some of the reason you guys are asking questions, I'm not answering them because I've already kind of talked about them extensively on here. So Daniel, would you want to see Rex and Mando season 2? I guess you haven't watched my reviews. That is talked about in every week. I've talked about, answer that question. Will you do episode by episode reviews the same as you are for The Mandalorian? For what? Dun, dun, dun. Let me see. What do we have? We got one to close out on. Lego Master 2009. Have you watched The Queen's Gambit? Please answer. I've already answered this. So that's the reason I didn't answer your question, because I have already answered it in here. I'm halfway through it. I've watched half of it. But I have already talked about it in here. Are you excited to see Ahsoka Tano? I've talked about that. Like, some of these questions, you're kind of asking me things that I've talked about in here, and I've talked about in my reviews. So your nose itching yet? Yeah, I mean, don't I keep touching it? I haven't. Don't I keep touching it? I mean, I had snot fall out of it a little bit ago. So, have you watched the Crown series? No. Like British royalty, British period piece stuff. Like that's almost my least favorite genre. Anything that's kind of in the British period piece, whether royalty or like Emma, Little Women. I don't get it. I don't connect with it. My wife loves it. She puts these things on and people are like, oh, don't you love this? No, I just don't get it. Do you plan on re-ranking the Pirates movies? Yeah, I actually do. That's an out-of-date one. Do you recommend Disney Plus? Great question to end on. Tomorrow I will have my ranking of the streaming services. I will be talking extensively about Disney Plus, and you can hear my thoughts on that one and what I think about it. I'll close out on this note. I mentioned this many times in here before, but every Saturday I do a live stream on Patreon. If you join at any level, you can ask me questions. I answer everybody's questions. We go for about an hour and 15 minutes. There's normally like 10, 15 people in there, so I can answer every question that people have. So join at any level. That's $2 a month, or there's a new annual option if you want it as a Christmas present, that $21 per year, and you can get all the exclusive videos and join on those ones. And you get all of it. So literally $21 a year or $2 a month, and you can be on those, have all the ones you want. Thoughts on John Campea, big inspiration for my channel. I have watched literally hundreds of hours of John Campea. Have a great day. Have you too. Love your content. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. And what's your favorite film franchise? I have a ranking of my favorite film franchises. I've got a top 10 of almost everything by now because of the year 2020. I've just done a ton of these deals. So, like, just go to the search option. You can find my thoughts on a lot of this stuff. Like, it's already out there. What's your favorite Transformers movie? Got a ranking on it. It's already out there. Do you think Ali will be in Cobra Kai season 3? Tough to say. I mean, I think now that it's on Netflix, they can get her. They can pay for her. So the likelihood that will happen is higher because it's on Netflix now and they have more money. And it's more of a cultural phenomenon now that it's on a wider platform. All right, there we go. Close out on that note. Join on Patreon, any level, $2 a month or $21 per year, and you can ask all the questions you want. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It really does mean a lot to me that you care what I have to say about things. I got to go shoot tomorrow's video, and it's a doozy, and I've been talking for 2 hours and 5 minutes straight, so I'm already fried going into tomorrow. If you watch tomorrow's video, the streaming services one, and it seems like I'm dragging a little bit, this is why, because I've been doing this live stream. Or if I seem jacked and amped up, just know that's me pretending to be jacked. That's because I am tired after doing all this. Talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for tuning in. And super chats, support, likes, comments, kind words, all of it. Thank you.